This coming Sunday, November the 12th, we're going to be hosting our 175th anniversary of Marvin Methodist Church. That's dating back to 1848. We'll have, in addition to our regular worship services at 8:30 and 11, we'll also have an all-church luncheon. We'll have carriage tours, carriage rides around the church, and we'll also have a tour of our archives, and we'll welcome back many of our former pastors.
So talk about that carriage thing. Is that going to be like all outside and throughout the streets? Talk about that. That was something that I noted.
Yeah, our carriage rides will be horse-drawn carriages, much like you would see around Bergfield Park at Christmas time.
Cool, and that's because the church was founded back in the day, and it's something, you know, to bring it back.
Clearly.
So talk about your archives are also going to be open to the public. Talk about that.
Well, our archives represents the church's history. I'm very much involved in that, is my wife, who's one of the archivists here at the church. We have history of the church. We have pictures of former pastors. We have stories of the church that date back before the Civil War. It's just a really interesting thing. We have to really make sure we take care of these, but every once in a while, like this coming 175th anniversary, we'll be opening the archives to the whole church to be able to have an opportunity to see some of our history. A lot of pictures of what the church looked like, what the sanctuary looked like at the turn of the century, what it looked like before it was remodeled. There are pictures of the church with horse-drawn carriages and streetcar railroad tracks out in front of the church back when there were dirt streets. It's just an opportunity to see how long this church has been here, and even though our times have changed, Marvin Church has been at this location at 300 West Irwin for 130 years at this location.
So you've been at this location, but the church was...
The church is 175 years old. Yes, the church itself, not the building.
But then the church itself existed for a little bit before that.
The church, yes. So I'm ready to. I'll jump into that then. So back in 1848, 2 years after Texas became annexed into the United States, Smith County was designated, and Tyler became its county seat. And the first courthouse was a log cabin structure, and there on Sunday mornings there would be a community worship service. Sometime later that same year, 9 families withdrew from the community service. They formed their own Methodist congregation. They began meeting in a blacksmith shop. Then the church continued to grow and grow. They moved to various locations over the years. In 1855, the church partnered with the Masonic Lodge, and they built a 2-story building across the street from our current structure. And there we worshiped as a church until about the late 1880s. At that point, because of a weakened foundation, the second floor fell down. Fortunately, nobody was killed. At that point, it became necessary to start looking at a new structure. So in 1890, this land in which we stand here at 300 West Irwin was purchased. Construction was begun, and the result is this magnificent sanctuary in which we're standing in today. It was actually, at the time, it was referred to as the Cathedral of the West.
Wow. So talk about, you were hoping that the steeple was going to be finished for Sunday. So can you say that?
Sure. Many of you may have already seen a lot of cranes here in downtown Tyler. We have been repairing our 130-year-old steeple. Fortunately, the construction work and the repairs have been completed this week. The cranes are all gone, and this steeple, which has welcomed worshipers here in downtown Tyler for 130 years, is back better than new, and we'll be excited that it's done in time for our 175th anniversary.
So what are you looking forward to the most about Sunday?
One of the things I'm looking forward to most this coming Sunday is just the excitement of being a part of something that's been here so long, but it's still so new. We'll have our Bishop Scott Jones, who is a bishop of the Global Methodist Church, will be bringing our message here in the sanctuary. We're excited about that. There'll be former pastors that'll be here. We expect to have the church packed out with a great big all-church luncheon following the worship services. One of my favorite stories to tell involves the church falling into a great financial hardship. The church began, and the construction began in 1890. By 1893, there was something called the Great Silver Panic of 1893. Along with that, coupled with the death of a number of our prominent members, resulted in the church's financial hardship. And as hard as it is to imagine, Marvin Church went bankrupt. The church facilities were sold on the courthouse square, and it looked as if all was lost. But fortunately, one of our church members, Mrs. Ketty Sample, purchased the church and was able to sell it back to the congregation, and she let us pay it out over several years. And as a result of that, this magnificent cathedral was saved from bankruptcy. And to this day, Marvin Church does not have any debt anymore.